Welcome to Business World. I'm your host Siddharth, and we are back again with a new episode of BWHotwires. Today we are talking to Mr. Amit Gupta, who is the co-founder of YULU Bikes. Yes, the bikes that you see at India Gate in Delhi and in Bangalore. Welcome to the show, Mr. Amit.
Thanks, Siddharth. Thanks for having me here, and also to BW, your organization.
So, Mr. Amit, tell us, YULU Bikes is very innovative. It's very different. You are not actually in the two-wheeler segment, four-wheeler segment. It's different. And it is very viral as well. So tell us, how did this whole idea come about?
So YULU Bike did not happen by we wanted to make a two-wheeler or four-wheeler. It came from a pain point which millions of people in big cities are facing in India. And it is about your ability to reach to point A to point B in a fastest time. And also, as all of us know, that our air pollution is also bad. So the vision, or you can say the mission of YULU, is to reduce traffic congestion and improve air quality significantly. And we thought that both of these problems are so interlinked, a common solution should be able to give goodness for both of the problems. So YULU basically is saying that from a vision of good cities, we basically are the complementary service to public transportation. So when you have to move out, you should not pick your own car, you should not take your personal vehicle. For that matter, you should not even take a dedicated taxi for yourself. That's a criminal waste of resources. And we think that we are talking about hundreds of millions of people. You need to create a mobility which is not only accessible and available, but it also be affordable. So from YULU's perspective, we call it as a 5S framework, which stands for smart, shared, sustainable, small, and safe. And this is what YULU is trying to do.
Great. So now this is a great idea. Now it sounds like a great idea, but there must be challenges initially. What kind of challenges did you face getting the two-wheeler in place, getting people to agree to, get this put on their platforms or maybe in the cities, getting customers on board? What challenges were there?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the soft part and I'll talk about the hard part. So hard part was that there was no electric ecosystem in the country. I'm talking about 3 years earlier when, yes, there was some electric scooters out there, but no one actually was talking about shared mobility in a big manner. So we had to not only conceptualize, but also make a product which can help in the shared mobility case. And we were very clear that if we, let's say, take off-the-shelf scooter, then it will not be solving the need. It will be a lot of wear and tear, a lot of theft will happen. So we ended up designing a purpose-built vehicle. And the second problem we had to solve was the battery. So how do you charge? Where do you charge? Because ultimately electric mobility do require a network of charging station. So we created our own hardware of charging station, placed them in mom and pop store, and then we have a very amazing seamless setup that is working beautifully for us. Third thing was the policy regime, where we still basically kind of you can say requesting or fighting the battle. So our country has lot of programs to promote electric mobility, but whatever right now we are doing, we are not getting benefit. So we are using low speed and there's no subsidy on the low speed. I think we are requesting government that rather than you looking at the speed, you look at the power. So give us subsidy on the battery. Financing is another angle. Bank do not know that what is this new thing, how much life it will have. So we had to actually in the past get a lot of our vehicles on equity financing, which is very expensive. So those are the hard elements. The softer elements were actually harder, where the mindset was that I don't know what you're talking about, whether it will be done or not. So dealing with, let's say, investors who were like, oh, you are talking same things, but you know what, it is super difficult because I have not seen it. And you're saying that people will suddenly leave their earlier habit and they will move to your form factor, not going to be easy. And at the same time, we were very fortunate and lucky to be able to work on both elements. A harder part, everything is in front of you. But the softer part also, we actually got a lot of encouragement from the city authorities who understood that, this problem needs to be solved. And even if, there's a probability of you not working out, but I have nothing to lose. and hence they agreed to support us. So they gave not only permission to run YULU service in all of the big cities where we are currently running, but also they gave us spaces for parking. They help us with promotions. They give us police protection for vehicle, everything. So a lot of things happened. And also corporates and some willing citizens who said, okay, don't worry, this is my office space. You take the space for YULU zone. Metro was very encouraging. Delhi Metro, Bangalore Metro, they all gave spaces, prime real estate to YULU. So I think in our journey, we were able to get a lot of support. And that's how things were started. And I think it was more of the collective power of belief that this problem needs to get solved. And yes, a lot of hard work from YULU team. We were able to make things work, at least in our favor.
So now, a couple of things from that question. Shared mobility. Let's start with shared mobility. Now, shared mobility was the poster child pre-COVID. People were in fact talking about not buying cars and using Ola, Uber. Suddenly COVID comes and now shared mobility is out. So how was the COVID situation for YULU bikes? I'm sure people not going out means no revenue, no usage. So how was that in terms of business, one, and in terms of corporate? How was it for you and your workers, your whole team?
Yeah. So first of all, you'll be pleasantly surprised to know that we were getting a lot of tailwinds. So we were net beneficiary of Corona, despite of the fact that a lot of things were not right with the country, with the world. But our business model thrived. And if one of the S in our 5S framework is safety, and safety, not just the safety of a vehicle, but also from Corona. So because there's no co-passenger or driver, YULU became the safest way to move around. Yes, if you have your own car or your own two-wheeler, yes, you're sorted, no problem. But in case you do not have one, then YULU has been the safest way, because you have only 2 touch points and we have been sanitizing it. We are showing the last timestamp of sanitization. So we've actually walked the talk on that front. And other part, which is, what happened with us, there was a fundamental change in the demographic. Before Corona outbreak, 80% of our usage was white collar employees going for their work commute. So that was our primary use case. People will pick our vehicle from metro, go to office, or from home to metro, and so on. And we built a reasonably large business out of there. And pandemic hit us, and then every one of us started working from home. And then we were like, okay, we have a choice of, at the same time, by the way, when lockdowns were opened up, after first wave lockdown, there were a lot of people on the road. So not like people stopped being on the road, and we were like, yeah, we have 2 choices. We have choice number that we should wait for these white collar guys to come back and go to work, or we find out these guys who are on the road, why they are there, and can we become a solution to their mobility journey. And it took no time for us to realize that there's so many people in our country, in big cities also, who have to work from their office or work from their factories, work from their shops. And then there are a lot of student community who also needed a safe and affordable mobility. So we created our YULU zones in those areas where there are a lot of factories, colleges, coaching centers. Just a small reminder, unlike the services what we are seeing in China or in the US, where you can drop the vehicle anywhere, we do not allow that. So our service requires our users to pick up our vehicle from one station and drop it at the network of YULU zone. And that's the reason those usage was always happening. We were not catering to that by not having a YULU zone in those areas where factories are there, shops are there, or the colleges and education students are there. So we enabled that in a matter of couple of months, and suddenly we saw 70% jump in user base. So we actually got more users than we used to have before pandemic. Our revenue went up by almost 2.6x, and we were only growing across all metrics. Our profitability, by the way, interestingly went up by 3x, and and this is without changing any pricing. And so we actually got a lot of tailwind, as I said. And profile of user has become much more broad-based. People who were earlier using YULU, the white collar guys, Currently, they are using YULU for running errands. So many of them will use us for grocery purchase, sometimes just for fun. So they will just go out and just do leisure activity. Although the usage overall has shrunk from 80% to almost less than 25% in terms of the overall usage. The one more interesting thing which we saw during Corona was our bikes started to get used by delivery guys. So a portion of our bikes are being used for food delivery particularly. And the reason is, these gig workers who sometimes lost their job or they don't have vehicle of their own, they started finding YULU service to be very, very beneficial. Not only, we are giving them the vehicle, but they were also, they do not require driving license. So just like personal vehicle ownership, where 80% of people do not have any vehicle of their own in India, 85% people in India do not have driving license. That's another insight. And when you talk about food delivery particularly, the movement happens in a very small circle. So 4 to 5 kilometers is a sweet spot. And then our vehicle actually just fits the bill very, very well. And they're typically low weight, so less than 10 kilogram. So we didn't have to do anything. We just basically said, okay, all we have to do, we created a special pack. Rather than we charging them per minute, we said, okay, we'll take 1 day flat fees from you. So we made the business model work for them. And before pandemic, that number was 0. During pandemic, that number has been around 10. And the second wave lockdown, which is another learning what we have got, this number went to almost 25% of overall revenue. And we've already fully recovered. So our number in July is fully recovered as of date from our March number before second lockdown. So we think that they were instrumental in making sure that our usage was always up and running.
Great to hear that, sir. One positive news out of COVID. So now you mentioned in the earlier question that governments and state governments and departments were very supportive. Now, lately in the past couple of months, we've been seeing a lot of states actually racing and bringing out electric vehicle policies. Now, what are your thoughts on these policies?
No, I think certainly this is a need of the hour. And I think if you look at any country, you will be very proud that our country is not doing less. I think they are probably one of the pioneers in pushing the electric mobility. So I have actually no crib about it. My only crib is very YULU centric, where we are not getting goodness because of the form factor, which we have now talking to central government level, different ministries. We are telling that, hey, YULU has the largest electric mobility field in the country. And when you look at electrification of the mobility, is not going to be Siddharth and Amit buying their own scooter or our car to start with. It will be Siddharth and Amit using a service which is shared mobility service. So please include shared mobility companies in your policy framework. We have been driving a lot of adoption, and from the national objective, they want to convert the dirty fuel, basically the fuel which is the miles which are being powered by, let's say, gasoline, to electric. And ownership is something which they kind of right now coupled it very tightly, but we are saying decouple that, please. And second thing, we are also saying that if low speed vehicle two-wheeler are 60-70% of the overall volume, don't ignore that. So we basically have made those two requests. And the third request is on the financing front, where it has been extremely expensive for us to raise debt. And we are saying that can electric vehicle debt financing be covered under priority sector lending? So government has those tools which they can use. So this has been our request, by the way. And we think that government is now looking for all ideas to accelerate that adoption. But I must acknowledge what Delhi has done, what Gujarat has done, what Goa has done. They all will basically accelerate our adoption of electric mobility. And you were right when we started chatting. Now, you talk to someone about electric mobility, they will say, yeah, this is obvious, it has to happen. And I think all of those policies are making those mindset shift very quickly.
Absolutely, sir. Now, let's talk about YULU's presence? Now you said you're present in a lot of metro cities. So tell me, where all are you present? What is your expansion plans? Because the concept, it's working really well in metro cities, but it also, I believe, would work in touristy areas where people don't really take their vehicles or it's very difficult to move about. So what are your thoughts on expansions?
So, see, big picture is wherever we can replace some existing mode of commute to electric commute, I think we should aspire for that. As far as YULU is concerned, we are very committed to our mission of reducing traffic, and it means that we're talking about a shared mobility in some shape or form. And we think that we have a position of strength in understanding the two-wheeler dynamic very well. So not only YULU Miracle, but which is our, by the way, flagship product for the passenger mobility, YULU is right now working on introducing a new product called YULU Dex. It's a purpose-built vehicle just for the last mile delivery. It's also, by the way, low-speed product. We're also right now working on one more platform which will be high speed. So maybe for tier 2 or tier 3 cities where the use case is not going to metro to office, the use case is someone goes from home to something and comes back. So in tier 2 cities also, we imagine there will be different form factor and different specification. And we are committed to solve for that as well. But if I talk about our next 12 months focus, so net what I'm saying, Siddharth, that from YULU's perspective, we are committed to do whatever best we can do for big cities and small cities, both. But for next 12 months, keeping things a little bit more focused and tight, we are looking at right now still at the big cities, which is Delhi, Bombay and Bangalore, where we are present right now. We may add one more city if third wave, if it happens, is not very bad. But we think that we have our hands full across these three cities.
Are your bikes manufactured in India? Are they imported? What is the situation there?
So as you know, electric mobility, there are two components. There's a mechanical bike part, and the second part is the battery. And battery, for your reference, 45% is the value. So if $100 is a bike, $45 is the battery from a proportion perspective. Good news is the battery for YULU has been done in India from day one. So we have a battery pack manufacturers in India who, by the way, in turn bring the cell, unfortunately, from other countries. And earlier, we used to get it from country which we don't like, but now it's coming from Japan. And we are seeing a far better quality and far better total cost of ownership. So we are doing well on the battery front, and we have done 3 versions of that. And the current version is very, very good. The scooter part, unfortunately, our supply chain in India for electric mobility was not there. So we had to work with companies outside of India. But the good news is we are now working on the 3rd generation Miracle product, which is being done by Bajaj Auto Limited. So we have indigenized a lot of components already for India for our existing version. But what we are most excited about is that Bajaj is actually building one, and the product is in a decent shape. And we believe that sometime next year, we will start rolling them out in large scale volume.
Electric two-wheeler market is very crowded, and shared mobility not so much, but electric two-wheeler market is very crowded. How is YULU going to maintain its USP amongst the whole crowd? 1, and 2, what should a YULU user who's really gung-ho about the vehicle, because I have a lot of friends who talk about India Gate pe have you driven that YULU bike? And I was like, no, not yet. So a lot of people are gung-ho about it. What should they look forward to?
While the market is crowded, what we are doing, we are the only company in the country right now. So market is or seems crowded on the manufacturing front. And it is actually my favorite smartphone analogy. When smartphone started happening, remember how many brands everyone was able to go to Shenzhen and get their own brand name phone or their girlfriend's brand name phone. So the market was flooded. And now look at the market. There are 3 or 4 major companies who have established themselves on the back of product goodness and post sales support. Same thing will happen in the two-wheeler segment as well. Right now, everyone basically just goes and imports component from China, put their stamp. They're not manufacturers; they are just dealers. But then there are companies like Ether, Bajaj, TVS for that matter, who are building something on ground in-house. And 2-3 years down the line, you will know that we all will see that good product will attract more customers and market share, and it will stabilize. YULU, we are not manufacturer. We sit on top of it. We are just disrupting the ownership model. So India, 20% people have vehicle, 80% do not have any vehicle. So we are right now going after 80% people who do not have any vehicle by giving them a way to move around without worrying about owning a vehicle. That's point number 1. From YULU's perspective, we want to make sure that the friction of you using services like YULU should go down. And the work what we have been doing is certainly making sure that our service is wider. So currently in Bangalore, for example, we are present only in 40% of the geographical spread. Delhi, we are hardly present. We have less than 2,000 bikes. So do more of what we are doing already. So that is certainly one big mantra. The second important thing is we are making our bikes better, safer, and more comfortable. So the Generation 3 bike which we are building with Bajaj is actually ticking a lot of boxes. And from a look and feel perspective, it will be like a next version, like very beautiful, what you are seeing on the road already, which is already very cute and cool. And we think that if we do this, take it to more people, then probably will increase the impact what we are doing. On the product front, as I mentioned, that we are also bringing a mid-speed scooter maybe next year. So maybe the different use case, someone needs to be on the road for 1 hour, 2 hours because of the job reason. Then they will also have an option from YULU. So these are the 3 things we can think of. And I think more than that, we take pride in the fact that we started off believing in electric mobility, and at least we have been leading from the front, promoting the notion of and this whole new cause. And if India becomes electrified, and we actually believe that we'll play a role in that, I think we'll be looking back after 10 years, we'll be very happy.
That was a great thought, sir. And of course, India is moving really fast towards electric mobility. Thank you for talking to us, Mr. Amit Gupta, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks, Siddharth. Thanks for having once again.